Hey guys, this is Miss Went, and I want to give you an introduction to the first part of chapter, chapter 11, which is all about cell division. So the goal this week with this is that we can explain the parts of the cell cycle and model the steps of mitosis. So some words that we don't know yet, we will know them by the end of the week. So today's plan is I just want to give you a little bit of notes and then some time to kind of explore the textbook online a little bit to read about what I'm going to introduce you to in the notes. Okay. Now with our distance learning thing, notes are kind of up to you. If you want to write things traditionally in a notebook, that's awesome. Writing things down is a great way for your brain to remember stuff. I'm not around to police that, and you're not going to be handing things in. So keeping that in mind, maybe a screenshot of certain pages and listening would be enough, or just rewatching the video again. Whatever works for you. And that's what's kind of hard about this distance learning thing is you're the one that has to make those choices. What's going to work for me? Can I take any shortcuts and still understand what's going on? So I can't answer that for you, unfortunately. That's going to be on you. All right, so let's get started here. So why do cells divide? And it could be a plant cell or an animal cell or a fungus cell. Why do they have to divide? Okay, there's a couple reasons. If you have an organism that's growing, you need new cells to grow. So as babies grow up into adults, as little seedlings grow into full-grown plants, as things grow bigger and taller, you can't just make the cells already there bigger because that's not healthy. Big cells can't get rid of all their waste and can't get things in and out easily. So we need more smaller cells to keep things growing. So that's a great reason why cells divide. Some parts in your body and some types of cell do wear out. Just like if you own a car, you are constantly replacing parts as they get worn out. The same thing is true for cells. Okay, the whole car doesn't, get replaced if you just need a new fan belt or if you just need a new bumper. You just replace the one part that needs it, and your body can do that as well. You may also have some damage. So if something in your body got damaged, if you got a cut or a bruise, if you were in an accident, maybe if you're a plant, there was some animals nibbling on you or some insect damage, you would be able to make new cells to fix those problems. Okay, now some cells, they divide very quickly every few hours. Bacteria is an example of that, which is why just a couple bacteria, maybe in some food that you eat, can over the next day or two make you very sick because those bacteria reproduce very quickly. There are parts of your body where those cells very rarely divide. If you get a brain injury or a spinal cord injury, those cells do not divide very easily and make copies, which means the damage to those organs rarely get naturally fixed in your body. Okay, so now we know why they divide. Let's kind of figure out a little bit about how they do this. Okay, now there's two types of cell division. One of them is meiosis, which we're going to come back to later in the quarter. So I'm going to give you a short intro to it, but we're going to look at this more in detail later. So meiosis is when you're doing egg, sperm, or pollen cells for sexual reproduction. Okay, so these cells are special. We give them the special name called haploid. And haploid is kind of short for half. And this little symbol here, 1N, is a short way of writing haploid. Okay, and these cells only have one copy of each chromosome. And a chromosome is a piece of DNA that we've just wrapped up. So instead of one long mess of string, it's been wrapped up kind of like a ball of yarn. So it's easy to handle. Okay, so egg and sperm cells, pollen if you're a plant, those cells only have one copy of each piece of DNA inside. Okay, so that's going to give us eggs if you're a girl, sperm if you're a boy, and when you put those two together, you get a baby. That baby is going to be a mixture of some of mom's DNA that was in the egg and some of dad's DNA that was in the sperm. So this means that the baby is not a clone of mom or dad, but he's a mixture of it. And this process is more complicated than the next one we're going to see. Okay, we got to make different parts. They got to come together. There's more steps. However, this baby, because he's not a clone or genetically the same as the parents, overall, this family has a better survival rate. Okay, if there's a bacteria or a virus that comes by, and maybe for some reason dad can't fight it off, mom and the baby having different mixes of DNA might be able to fight that virus off. So it doesn't wipe out the whole family, it maybe only wipes out one. Okay, so having a variety of different mixes of DNA in a family or in a population is good for survival over time. It helps protect you from a big natural disaster or a big disease or something like that that's coming down. Okay, so that's all about meiosis. And like I said, we're going to come back to him later. The only reason I bring him up is because mitosis kind of sounds like it. And instead of having one copy of each chromosome, mitosis is going to have two. Okay, so our second type of cell division is mitosis. And this is what we're going to be doing all this week. And mitosis is how you make all your other body cells. So your brain cells, your blood cells, your bones, all other cells of your body are made by mitosis. And some organisms can also use it for asexual reproduction. Remember when we put the A in the front, that prefix means not. So this is reproduction with not sex. Okay, so they can reproduce all by themselves. All right, now like I kind of said on the previous slide, these mitosis cells, they have two copies of each chromosome, so we call them 2N for short. And the word for that is diploid, di meaning two. Okay, so we'll get into why that's more important later, but that's just a difference between those cells. And some one-celled organisms are going to use mitosis to reproduce. And the offspring, which just means baby, will be a genetic clone as the parent. And a clone is somebody that has the same DNA. So if the parent and the child both have the same DNA, it's really a quick and easy process. However, one natural disaster, one bad virus or something can maybe wipe them all out. And if you think about bacteria, if your body is infected and all the bacteria have the same DNA, one correct medication will wipe all the bacteria out, and that's great for us. However, if any of the bacteria have a change in their DNA, that could make things a little more complicated. And we'll come to that later on in the quarter too. Okay, so that's kind of the difference between meiosis when you reproduce with sex and mitosis when you're not. Okay, now in the next couple days, you're going to see a bunch of microscope pictures. And this happens to be part of an onion that's going through mitosis in the roots. So the roots of an onion plant grow quickly. So this is a great place to look for cells that are dividing because this part of the plant is growing bigger. And I can see a lot of the cells, like these guys up here, these guys just look normal. I can see square cell walls and a big nucleus, a dark nucleolus inside. But then some of the cells look quite a bit different. So you can see this guy here doesn't have one nucleus, he has these chunky things. Lots of chunky things in this guy. If I go up to the top here, it looks like I have two piles of chunky things. And over here, well, I can kind of see here's a cell wall, but it looks like there's two separate nucleuses in here. So these cells here are all going through different stages of dividing. Notice these guys up here, these are kind of small compared to some of these that are dividing. Cells do have to grow bigger before they can divide. So the larger ones tend to be the ones that we see dividing more. So we're going to learn about all these different types of divisions later. That would be tomorrow. All right. But what I'd like you to do today is in the textbook, and you can resource that with your class link. And I kind of showed you in class the day before we got out of school. I'm going to try to make a separate video for it as well. But in your textbook, you're reading pages 338 to 342. And another way to look that up, it's chapter 11, section 1. So if you're using the table of contents, that's what that would be. Okay. Now, I've tried to tag some of the activities and notes and things that go with that as assignments for you. Now, I'm not going to actually like formally grade them and put them in the grade book. I'll be able to see, I think, what you've been able to kind of access and not. I know there's probably going to be some technical issues. The most important thing is just to make sure everybody can get to the book and read, even if all the other extra bells and whistles don't work. Okay, there is a quiz on there that I'd like you to try for practice. It's not going to go in your grade book as a quiz grade. I'll make a Schoology quiz later that we can check things out. Okay, so the rest of your science time today, I'd like you to go into the textbook app, try to read about this cell division. If you have extra time and want to read ahead, that's great. We're going to do section 2 tomorrow, so if you can read ahead, that's fantastic, but you don't have to. That's it. If you have any questions, you can message me or Zoom me, and we'll just try to fix tech issues as they come up, and we're not going to sweat the small stuff. Have a great day, guys.